Why she crosses her legs around you. Most men ignore this, but it means a lot. Psychology tricks. You've probably seen it many times, but never truly paid attention to it. A woman sits across from you, the conversation is flowing, and then suddenly she crosses her legs. In that quiet moment, something subtle changes in the atmosphere. You may not be able to explain it. You may not even consciously notice it. But inside, you feel a slight shift in tension, curiosity, or awareness. Most men brush it off as nothing more than a comfortable sitting position. Just a habit. Just a random movement. But human behavior rarely works that way. Small gestures often carry emotional meaning beneath the surface. And in many situations, that single movement, crossing her legs, can quietly reveal a mixture of feelings happening inside her at the same time: attraction, hesitation, self-protection, curiosity, or even nervous excitement. As the writer Anais Nin once said, "We don't see things as they are, we see them as we are." And when it comes to attraction, people often overlook the quiet signals because they are not looking closely enough. The truth is, the reason a woman crosses her legs while sitting near you can subtly shape the emotional tone of the moment. Sometimes it reflects comfort. Sometimes it signals awareness of your presence. And sometimes it is part of the unconscious language people use when emotions begin to rise beneath the surface. This is exactly the kind of silent psychology most people miss. Welcome back to Stoicism Win, a place where we explore the emotional and psychological patterns that quietly shape human attraction and connection. Here, we look beyond obvious words and gestures to understand the subtle signals that influence how people perceive one another. If you want to understand attraction more deeply, recognize the hidden cues in human behavior, and become someone who notices what others overlook, make sure to subscribe. Because once you begin to see these small psychological signals clearly, the way you understand women and human connection in general will never look the same again. Now listen carefully. 1. Timing reveals the emotional trigger. Timing reveals the emotional trigger. When a woman crosses her legs around you, most men focus on the surface. They notice the shape, the movement, the visual change in posture. But they miss the deeper question that truly matters. Why did she do it at that exact moment? This is where real observation begins. Timing is everything in human behavior, and especially in female psychology. A movement that seems small can carry a wave of meaning beneath it. Did she cross her legs when you first sat down across from her? Did it happen the moment you leaned a little closer? Did it appear right after you asked something personal, or when the conversation shifted from casual to meaningful? These details are not accidents. In the language of psychology tricks and female psychology, timing reveals emotional triggers the mind hasn't yet explained. A crossed leg is not merely posture. It is emotional positioning. Sometimes it signals protection, sometimes curiosity, sometimes internal tension, and sometimes it is attraction mixed with hesitation. The body reacts first. The mind follows later. That is how human psychology works. Think about a simple moment. You are speaking with her. The conversation flows easily. Her shoulders are relaxed. Her body is open. Then you say something deeper. Perhaps you share a personal story, a meaningful opinion, or you look directly into her eyes while speaking with sincerity. Suddenly, she crosses her legs. Many men instantly misread this. They assume it means distance or disinterest. But that is rarely the full story. Her nervous system is reacting, not rejecting you, not inviting you fully either. She is processing you. Inside her mind, several questions are forming at once. Do I feel safe with this man? Do I feel understood? Why is this moment suddenly intense? Why do I feel something I didn't expect? Female psychology is subtle, layered, and often nonverbal. Her body speaks long before her words do. This is why understanding psychology tricks and the hidden signals of female psychology can completely change how you interpret a moment. A man who understands this stays calm. He observes instead of reacting emotionally. Because the truth is simple. When attraction appears, vulnerability appears with it. And vulnerability often triggers a protective response. Crossing the legs can be that response. Not to push you away, but to stabilize her own feelings. Imagine the body as a system trying to regulate emotion. Attraction increases awareness. Awareness increases tension. And tension needs somewhere to go. Sometimes it goes into a small movement, adjusting posture, touching hair, or crossing the legs. These gestures help the nervous system regain balance. In many situations, the crossed leg becomes a quiet barrier, not to block you, but to organize the emotional energy inside her. It is a gate, yes, but often a gate holding emotion rather than rejecting connection. This is why the most perceptive men pay attention not just to what she does, but when she does it. Timing reveals meaning. If she crosses her legs the moment the conversation becomes deeper, it may signal emotional processing. If she crosses them when you move closer, it might indicate rising awareness. If she crosses them slowly while still maintaining eye contact, that can even be a subtle mixture of comfort and attraction. Body language rarely exists in isolation. It exists within context. And context is the foundation of all psychology tricks that help you understand female psychology. Do not rush to conclusions. Do not assume a single gesture tells the entire story. Instead, observe patterns. Observe rhythm. Observe timing. That is how you learn how to fall in love with understanding rather than confusion. Many men make the mistake of reacting too quickly. They see one signal and instantly retreat emotionally. Don't do that. Stay steady. Stay present. Be the calm presence in the interaction. Confidence is not loud. It is patient observation combined with emotional control. When you notice a subtle change in her posture, do not panic. Do not interrupt the moment with insecurity. Continue the conversation naturally. Speak clearly. Maintain relaxed eye contact. That is how attraction develops through trust rather than pressure. Understanding psychology tricks is not about manipulating someone. It is about reading the emotional atmosphere accurately. And female psychology operates through many quiet signals that most people overlook. Crossing her legs at a certain moment may reveal curiosity she has not yet admitted. It may reveal tension created by attraction she did not expect to feel. It may even reveal that she is becoming more aware of the connection forming between you. This is where emotional intelligence becomes powerful. A man who understands these signals doesn't chase reactions. He creates comfort. He allows space for feelings to unfold naturally. Because the truth about how to fall in love is rarely loud or dramatic. It happens in small moments. A pause in conversation, a change in posture, a subtle shift in breathing. These are the quiet signals of human connection. And when you begin to notice them, you realize something important. Attraction is rarely announced with words. It is revealed through timing, through behavior, and through the body's unconscious reactions. So the next time you notice her cross her legs while you are talking, don't rush to judge the moment. Look deeper. Ask yourself what just happened before that movement. What changed in the conversation? What emotion entered the room? Because that is where the real answer lives. In the world of psychology tricks and female psychology, meaning is hidden in the transition between moments. That is where you learn how to fall in love not through guessing, but through understanding. The observant. Be calm. And remember this. The body often reveals the truth long before the mind decides to speak. 2. Direction and posture reveal emotional tension. Now imagine a different moment. A quieter one. A moment most men see but never truly study. She crosses her legs toward you. Her knee points in your direction. Her foot angles slightly your way. Her torso stays facing you. Nothing dramatic. No big gesture. Just a small shift in posture that most men ignore. But don't ignore it. Pay attention. Because the body rarely moves without a reason. This is not defense. This is tension. Think of it like a wire pulled tight between two poles. Still, quiet, but carrying energy. Her body is creating structure because something inside her is unsettled. Something moved emotionally, and the body reacted before the mind had time to organize the feeling. Interest does that. Desire does that. Emotional awareness does that. A woman doesn't always decide these movements consciously. Often, her body speaks before her thoughts catch up. And here is what many men fail to understand. Attraction is not always loud. It is rarely obvious in the beginning. Instead, it appears in microsignals. A slight shift, a subtle lean, a change in posture, a crossed leg that suddenly points toward you. Small movements, big meaning. That is why a high-value man pays attention to details. Not because he is overanalyzing, but because he understands that human behavior whispers long before it speaks. Now here is where things get interesting. She may not even know why she did it. She simply felt something change inside the interaction, and her body adjusted to that change. Maybe it was the way you held eye contact a second longer. Maybe it was the calm tone in your voice. Maybe it was the silence after a meaningful question. Something shifted, and the body reacted. That is why men who only listen to words stay confused. Words are controlled. Words are filtered. Words are often polite, but bodies are honest. The body doesn't wait for permission to express emotion. It simply reveals it. A woman can say, "I'm fine." Her legs can say, "Something just changed." She can say, "It's nothing." Her posture can quietly say, "This moment matters." And most men miss it completely. They see crossed legs and think visually. They assume it is just comfort, just habit, just a random movement. But don't make that mistake. Be observant. Be calm. Be aware. Because when you learn to read posture, you begin to understand emotional tension inside a moment. Ask yourself a better question. Not just what she did, but why right now? Timing matters. Context matters. The body always reacts to something. So ask yourself, what changed right before that movement? Was it your voice becoming softer? Was it the depth of your eye contact? Was it the pause after she finished speaking? Was it a question that touched something deeper? Because her legs are not responding to the chair. They are responding to you. And this is where many men lose their advantage. They panic. They rush the moment. They try to fill every silence with more words. Don't do that. A high-value man understands that tension is not a problem. It is a signal. Emotional tension often appears right before attraction begins to grow. Here is the uncomfortable truth most men never hear. If she crosses her legs toward you when the conversation deepens, it often means she is feeling something she hasn't fully processed yet. Not rejection. Not immediate acceptance either. Something more complex. Emotional conflict. And conflict is where attraction often hides. When someone feels nothing, their body relaxes completely. No tension, no adjustment, no micromovements, just comfort and emotional neutrality. But when someone feels something, interest, curiosity, subtle desire, the body tries to stabilize the emotional shift. Posture becomes structured. Legs cross. Movements become controlled. Safe boredom rarely creates crossed legs pointed toward you. Emotion does. Interest does. Awareness does. That is why calm observation is powerful. When you begin to notice these signals, you stop misreading women. You stop assuming too quickly. You stop chasing certainty. Instead, you stay grounded in the moment. You let the interaction breathe. And this calm presence is part of masculine energy. Not loudness, not pressure, presence, stability, emotional control. Don't rush the moment. Don't interrupt the tension. Don't force clarity too early. Be patient. Because when her legs cross toward you and she keeps facing you, she is still there, still present, still engaged, still listening carefully to everything you say. Her body is not leaning away. It is not turning toward the exit. It is holding its position. That matters. It means her attention hasn't left. And attention is the beginning of attraction. Many men believe attraction is created by impressive words or dramatic gestures. Not always. Often it begins in subtle emotional shifts, moments where curiosity meets uncertainty, moments where someone feels something but hasn't decided what to do with it yet. That is where calm confidence becomes powerful. A high-value man doesn't panic inside these moments. He doesn't rush to prove himself. He simply remains steady, comfortable, aware. That steady presence naturally begins to attract women because it signals emotional stability. And emotional stability is rare. When a woman senses that calm, grounded masculine energy, the tension inside the moment doesn't disappear. It deepens. And that tension is not something to fear. It is something to understand. Because when her legs cross toward you, when her posture stays aligned with you, when her body holds its position instead of drifting away, something important is happening beneath the surface. Her body is not leaving. It is holding itself in place. And that often means something inside her doesn't want to leave either. Most men watch what a woman says. Very few learn to read what her body quietly reveals. When her legs cross toward you, when her posture stays open, when the tension in the moment deepens, that's not random. That's emotion speaking without permission. So remember this simple truth. A man who reads energy never gets confused by words. If that message hits you, drop this in the comments right now. I read the energy, not just the words. Like the video, subscribe for more psychological insights that most men never learn, because once you understand the silent language of attraction, the entire game changes. 3. Speed of movement shows the intensity of emotion. Speed reveals emotion. Always remember that. When a woman crosses her legs in front of you, do not only notice the movement, study the timing, the direction, the rhythm of it. Because movement is never random. Human behavior rarely is. As the philosopher William James once said, the greatest discovery of my generation is that a human being can alter his life by altering his attitudes. The same truth applies to awareness. When you train your mind to observe subtle behavior, you begin to see emotional signals most men miss completely. And that is where clarity begins. Watch how she crosses her legs. Not just that she does, but how fast it happens and where that movement points. Speed is emotion in motion. If she crosses her legs quickly, sharply, almost like a reflex, something inside her was triggered in that exact moment. Not by the chair, not by comfort, by the situation, possibly by you. Maybe you leaned closer without realizing it. Maybe your tone softened. Maybe you said something slightly more personal than before. Maybe the conversation paused and the silence created tension in the air. Her nervous system reacts faster than her conscious thoughts. The body always moves first. That quick crossing of the legs is not boredom. It is not rejection. It is containment. Her body is quietly saying, something just shifted here, hold steady. And this is where old Stoic wisdom becomes valuable for men navigating modern social interactions. The Stoics taught that the wise person does not react impulsively, but observes carefully before responding. That is the discipline of an iron mind. A man who practices this awareness does not panic, does not overanalyze, and does not chase validation. He simply notices patterns. He studies the room. He stays calm. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. When you carry that mindset, you stop guessing and start understanding. Now look at the opposite pattern, the slow leg cross. Slow movement carries a completely different emotional tone. Slow means awareness. Slow means she knows exactly what she is doing. She is not reacting. She is adjusting, organizing herself in the moment, settling into the interaction rather than escaping it. And if that slow crossing happens while she maintains eye contact, pay attention. That is not distance. That is control. She is grounding herself because the emotional current between you is becoming noticeable. In modern life, whether you meet someone at a cafe, a networking event, a dinner party, or even a casual conversation at work, people constantly regulate their emotions through small physical adjustments. The leg cross is one of those quiet adjustments. And most men ignore it because they are too busy thinking about what to say next instead of observing what is already happening in front of them. But the man with an iron mind does the opposite. He watches first. He listens second. He speaks last. That is the discipline behind Stoicism winning through calm awareness rather than noise or pressure. Now look carefully at direction. Direction changes everything. If her crossed knee points away from you and her torso angles away as well, the body is creating distance. Words may remain polite. The conversation may continue smoothly, but the body has already chosen retreat. And wise men respect that signal. They do not force energy where it is not flowing. That is another lesson rooted deeply in old Stoic wisdom. The Stoics believed that peace comes from aligning with reality rather than resisting it. But direction can also show something very different. If her crossed knee points toward you while her shoulders remain open, that is not closure. That is tension, a contained tension. Think of it like a door that is closed, but still facing the room instead of turning away. The space between you still exists. Curiosity is still alive. The conversation still has energy. And in many cases, she may simply be managing that emotional energy rather than displaying it openly. As Epictetus taught, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. That philosophy applies perfectly here. Observe twice as much. Interpret slowly. React calmly. Because attraction, curiosity, and emotional awareness rarely appear in loud gestures. They appear in subtle adjustments, posture shifts, eye contact, breathing patterns, and yes, even the speed and direction of a leg crossing. In today's world of fast communication, dating apps, and constant digital noise, many men believe attraction is expressed only through obvious signals. But real human interaction is more refined than that. It is quieter, more layered. And the men who succeed socially are often the ones who remain calm enough to notice those layers. This is why developing an iron mind matters so much. Not just for relationships, but for life. When your mind becomes steady, your perception becomes sharper. You stop chasing signs and start recognizing patterns. You stop reacting emotionally and start responding intelligently. That is the path where Stoicism becomes more than a philosophy, it becomes a lifestyle. A way of moving through the world with patience, awareness, and self-control. So next time you sit across from someone and she crosses her legs, slow your thinking. Do not rush to conclusions. Watch the speed. Notice the direction. Observe the timing. Ask yourself what changed in that moment, because small movements often reveal large emotions. And the man who understands those signals is not guessing his way through conversations anymore. He is reading the room with quiet confidence, calm observation, steady presence. That is the quiet strength taught by old Stoic wisdom. That is the discipline of an iron mind. And that is how Stoicism wins in the subtle game of human connection. 4. Uncrossing the legs signals emotional release. Most men pay attention when a woman crosses her legs, but the real signal often happens in the quieter moment that follows, when she uncrosses them. That small movement carries far more meaning than people realize. When a woman shifts from a crossed position to an open one, her body is releasing emotional pressure, and that is one of the subtle psychology tricks hidden inside everyday interaction. Watch the timing. If she uncrosses her legs right after you stop speaking, don't dismiss it. That is your silence creating comfort. Your pause gave her nervous system a moment to settle. If she uncrosses them when you change the subject, the emotional tension has just dropped. The conversation moved from intensity to ease. Her body responds instantly. If she uncrosses them after you glance away, the signal is even more interesting. The eye contact may have felt too charged, too focused. She needed a brief release. That is how female psychology often operates: emotion first, explanation later. Her body reacts before her mind explains why. And most men miss it because they only listen to words. Don't make that mistake. Be the man who reads the quiet language of movement. Be aware. Be calm. Be observant. Her body is negotiating with you in every moment, even when her mouth says nothing. You are either part of that negotiation or you are completely blind to it. Now picture the opposite moment. You are sitting across from her. She slowly crosses her legs. Not quickly, not nervously, slowly. Her knee angles toward you. Her eyes stay on yours. Her back stays straight. She doesn't lean away. Don't misread that posture. That is not rejection. That is contained interest. It is like holding a glass that is almost too full. She is present. She is alert. She is aware of herself. And when a woman becomes aware of herself in a moment like that, she is also aware of you. That awareness is the foundation of attraction. Many psychology tricks about attraction begin exactly here, in posture, tension, and subtle control of the body. Remember this principle from female psychology: Women rarely close their body language around someone they feel absolutely nothing for. Indifference looks relaxed but careless. Boredom looks open but empty. There is no tension, no structure. But attraction? Attraction creates structure. Attraction organizes the body. And leg crossing is structure. It is emotional architecture. The body building a frame around feelings that are starting to grow stronger. Don't assume those walls mean distance. Sometimes they exist because the emotion inside needs guidance, needs balance, needs control. A woman may cross her legs not because she wants to push the moment away, but because the moment has become powerful enough to manage. That is one of the psychology tricks most men misunderstand. They see crossed legs and immediately think closed off. Conversation over. Interest gone. But the emotional truth is often the opposite. Sometimes crossed legs are the body saying something very different. Don't let this escalate too fast. That message only appears when something inside the interaction is gaining momentum. Attraction does not always lean forward dramatically. Real attraction often steadies itself. It braces. It tightens. It becomes more controlled because revealing everything too quickly can feel risky. This is where understanding female psychology becomes valuable. Women often manage emotional intensity with subtle body structure rather than obvious words. That is why men who learn how to fall in love wisely pay attention to energy shifts rather than just conversation. Don't interrupt the moment with nervous chatter. Don't rush to prove yourself. Be steady. Be grounded. Let the emotional tension breathe. Because when a woman crosses her legs while facing you, holding eye contact and maintaining presence, she is not withdrawing. She is regulating emotion. She is balancing curiosity and caution at the same time. That balance is the early stage of connection. And here is another truth about how to fall in love that many overlook. Real chemistry rarely appears as obvious excitement. Instead, it shows up as contained energy, focused attention, small movements that reveal inner negotiation, the knee pointing toward you, the foot adjusting slightly closer, the posture becoming more structured rather than more relaxed. These signals are part of the quiet psychology tricks the human mind uses to manage attraction without exposing vulnerability too quickly. If you want to understand female psychology, you must train yourself to see tension not as a barrier, but as information. Emotional tension means awareness. Awareness means investment. Investment means something about the interaction matters. And when something matters, the body begins to organize itself around the moment. That is why attraction sometimes tightens instead of expanding. It protects the feeling before it fully reveals it. A woman's body often says what her pride prefers to hide. She may keep her words casual. She may act composed. But the structure of her posture tells a deeper story. So don't rush. Don't panic. Don't misinterpret signals simply because they are quiet. Stay calm. Stay confident. Let the moment unfold. Because when you truly understand these psychology tricks, when you understand female psychology and the subtle mechanics of how to fall in love, you begin to see something most men overlook. Attraction is not loud. It is precise. It is controlled. And sometimes the smallest movement, like crossing or uncrossing her legs, reveals an entire emotional conversation happening beneath the surface. If this insight opened your eyes, don't just watch, start paying attention. The smallest movements often reveal the biggest emotions, and the men who notice them are the men who truly understand human connection. Like the video, subscribe for more psychological insights, and share this with someone who wants to read attraction the right way. And drop this in the comments to remind yourself. The body reveals what words try to hide. 5. Self-awareness and attraction. Self-awareness and attraction are often hidden in the smallest movements, and one of the most overlooked signals men experience happens in a quiet moment that seems ordinary at first glance. Now think about this carefully. Has there ever been a moment when a woman crossed her legs right after you looked into her eyes? Right after you asked something personal? Right after a conversation shifted from casual talk to something real and meaningful? That timing matters more than most men realize. Do not dismiss it as simple posture. Do not assume it is random comfort. That is not what is happening. That is about emotional exposure. Her body is reacting to the feeling of being seen, truly seen, and that experience is powerful. Being seen creates intimacy. It creates vulnerability. It creates possibility. And possibility can be intense. So her legs cross like a shield. Not to reject you, not to push you away, but to protect herself from how much she suddenly feels in that moment. That is the subtle truth many men never learn. When you understand this, everything about your reaction must change. Do not rush the moment. Do not break the tension with nervous chatter. Do not panic and assume you have done something wrong. And do not retreat. Be calm. Be steady. Be the man who can sit in silence without fear. Because when her body tightens but still faces you, she is still fully present. And presence is where connection lives. Presence is where attraction begins to grow. Most men misunderstand this signal and accidentally sabotage their own opportunity. They talk too much. They try to fill every second with words. They become uncomfortable with silence. But silence is not your enemy. Silence is the stage where emotional tension breathes. A high-value man understands this deeply. He knows attraction often grows in the quiet spaces between words. He does not chase reactions. He observes them. He does not rush to impress. He allows the moment to unfold naturally. That calm restraint is powerful masculine energy. And masculine energy, when balanced with patience and awareness, naturally helps attract women. When she crosses her legs after a moment of eye contact or after a deeper question, her body is responding to emotional exposure. She is holding herself together while something inside her shifts. Many men misread this moment and assume they lost her interest, when in reality she is simply managing the intensity of the moment. She is protecting her feelings while staying engaged with you. That is not withdrawal. That is emotional processing. But there is another layer here that makes this psychological signal even more fascinating. Because sometimes a woman crosses her legs not to contain feeling, but to create it. And the reason behind that changes everything. Now we enter the part that most men never consider. Sometimes she crosses her legs on purpose, not consciously as a strategy, not as some calculated act to seduce, but because her body is trying to create a feeling rather than simply respond to one. Human psychology works in two directions. Emotions shape the body, but the body can also shape emotions. When a woman feels uncertain, when she becomes aware of your attention, when she senses a subtle tension forming between the two of you, her body naturally searches for structure. Crossing her legs gives her that structure. It tightens her posture. It contains her energy. It sharpens her awareness of the moment. And in doing so, it intensifies the emotional atmosphere between you. Think of it like gripping the edge of a table when something inside you suddenly feels too real. That small physical action helps you stabilize the emotion. It gives your mind something to anchor itself to while your feelings catch up with the moment. The same psychological mechanism can happen when she crosses her legs. Her body organizes itself. Her awareness sharpens. The moment becomes clearer and more vivid in her mind. That is why men who understand emotional signals never react with confusion. They observe. They remain grounded. They allow the emotional rhythm to continue naturally. This is the quiet strength that defines a high-value man. He does not force attraction. He creates an environment where attraction can grow on its own. Now imagine a scene that many men have experienced but rarely interpreted correctly. You are sitting with her. The conversation is light, maybe playful, maybe relaxed. The energy feels easy. Then something changes. Your voice lowers slightly. Your eyes hold hers for just a little longer than before. The atmosphere becomes quieter. And suddenly she crosses her legs slowly, deliberately, not rushed, not stiff, not defensive. That moment matters. Do not ignore it. That is not comfort. That is self-awareness. Her body is signaling that something inside her just shifted. She became aware of herself. She became aware of you. She became aware of how the moment feels between the two of you. And awareness is the doorway to attraction. Before desire appears, awareness must exist first. A person must notice the moment. They must feel its emotional weight. They must recognize the subtle tension in the air. Only then can attraction begin to take shape. This is why calm masculine energy plays such a powerful role in relationships. When a man stays composed, when he respects the emotional rhythm of the moment, when he does not rush or overwhelm the interaction, he creates space for awareness to grow. And awareness naturally helps attract women because it allows feelings to develop without pressure. A high-value man does not try to control every second of the conversation. He understands that connection often happens in quiet glances, subtle pauses, and small movements that reveal emotional shifts. So remember this simple but powerful truth. When a woman crosses her legs after eye contact, after a deeper question, or after a moment of emotional intensity, do not assume the moment is closing. Often the opposite is happening. The moment is becoming more real for her. Her body is responding to awareness. Her mind is processing the emotional shift. And your job is not to disrupt that process. Be patient. Be steady. Stay present. Because attraction does not grow through pressure. It grows through awareness, emotional safety, and the quiet confidence that comes from balanced masculine energy. And when you understand these signals, you no longer guess what is happening in the moment. You simply recognize it and allow the connection to unfold naturally. 6. Duration reveals emotional processing. Duration reveals emotional processing. Most men watch the crossing of the legs, the direction of the knee, the angle of the foot. But they miss the quiet detail that tells the real story, how long she keeps them crossed. That is the signal. That is the message. Because duration is intention. When she crosses her legs for only a moment, uncrosses them quickly, shifts again, then moves her body as if searching for another position, that is the body trying to escape a feeling it cannot settle into. That is restlessness. That is emotional discomfort working its way through muscle and posture. But when she crosses her legs and holds that position minute after minute, still facing you, still listening, still present in the conversation, something very different is happening. She is not escaping the moment. She is staying inside it. And that choice matters. Her body selected a posture and decided to remain there rather than relaxing out of it. That requires energy. That requires awareness. It requires attention, which means your presence has weight in her mind even if her voice sounds casual. Most men misunderstand this because they assume attraction must look relaxed, easy, obvious. They expect interest to look effortless. But real emotional tension rarely looks effortless. Sometimes desire looks controlled. Sometimes it looks quiet. Sometimes it looks like stillness and restraint, like a person holding their breath because the atmosphere feels charged. As Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Old Stoic wisdom teaches us that the strongest signals in life are rarely loud. They are disciplined, controlled, contained. And that same principle appears in human interaction. Imagine the moment clearly. You're speaking. She crosses her legs. Her knee angles toward you. Her body remains facing you. She does not fidget. She does not drift away. She does not turn her shoulders toward the door or her phone. She stays structured. That posture is not boredom. That posture is presence under tension. And tension is where emotion lives. If she felt indifferent, her body would soften and collapse into casual movement. If she were disengaged, her attention would wander and her posture would dissolve. But she holds herself in that position. She stays composed. She stays focused. And when a person holds themselves like that, it means something inside them considers the moment meaningful. The philosopher Epictetus said, "First learn the meaning of what you say, and then speak." In modern life, the body often speaks before the words do. And men who cultivate awareness, men who develop an iron mind, begin to see these quiet signals clearly. This is where Stoicism becomes practical, not theoretical. A man guided by old Stoic wisdom does not rush to conclusions. He observes. He remains calm. He notices patterns rather than chasing impulses. And when he sees a woman maintaining that structured posture for a long time while still engaged in the conversation, He understands something important. Her mind is processing the moment carefully. Sometimes she keeps her legs crossed because she feels something she is not ready to reveal yet. Not rejection, not hostility, but internal negotiation. Part of her wants to open emotionally. Another part of her wants to protect herself until she understands the situation better. So her body creates a compromise. She stays facing you. She stays attentive. But she maintains a controlled posture. That balance between openness and protection is one of the most honest emotional states a person can experience. She is not pretending. She is thinking. She is feeling. She is evaluating the moment. And this is where the man with an iron mind separates himself from the man who reacts impulsively. The impulsive man becomes anxious. He overanalyzes. He pushes harder for validation. But the man who follows old Stoic wisdom understands patience. He allows the moment to breathe. He keeps his voice steady. He keeps his posture calm. He does not chase the signal. He lets it unfold. Because attraction, like respect, grows stronger in an environment of composure. The Roman philosopher Seneca once wrote, "He who is brave is free." In modern social life, bravery often means emotional steadiness. It means remaining grounded while others process their feelings. And when you cultivate that kind of calm presence, something powerful happens. People feel safe revealing more of themselves around you. This is why Stoicism win is not just philosophy. It becomes strategy for real life. When a woman remains engaged with you while holding a structured posture, you do not interrupt the process by forcing reactions or demanding emotional clarity. You allow the moment to mature naturally. You stay attentive but relaxed. You maintain eye contact without pressure. You speak clearly. You listen fully. And most importantly, you stay centered within yourself. That is the discipline of an iron mind. Over time, this calm confidence changes the entire dynamic of the interaction. The tension softens. The conversation deepens. The signals become clearer. And the connection either grows naturally or fades honestly. Both outcomes are victories for a man who lives by Stoic principles. Because the real goal is not to chase approval. The real goal is mastery of your own presence. Master your attention. Master your patience. Master your reactions. When you do that, you begin to see the subtle language of human behavior that most people overlook. You understand that duration reveals intention. You understand that stillness can carry emotion. You understand that restraint can signal engagement. This is the quiet strength old Stoic wisdom teaches. This is the calm awareness that defines an iron mind. And this is why Stoicism win is not about controlling others. It is about mastering yourself so completely that you can read the moment without fear, respond without pressure, and walk through every interaction with steady confidence and clear vision. All right, my friend, before we wrap up, let me leave you with one simple thought. Most men rush. They talk more, lean in closer, and try to control the moment. But the wiser man does something different. He pays attention. When a woman crosses her legs, don't treat it like a problem you need to solve. Treat it like information. Her body is processing the moment, adjusting to the energy between you. The best thing you can do is slow down, keep your presence calm, and give the space for the moment to breathe. When you do that, something powerful often happens naturally. Her body relaxes, the tension fades, and the connection becomes real. So here's the honest advice. Stop chasing signals and start understanding them. When you learn to read the moment instead of forcing it, you move differently, you speak differently, and people feel that confidence around you. Thanks for spending this time with me today. If this opened your eyes to things you may have overlooked before, stay with us, because here we don't teach manipulation, we teach awareness. And once a man truly learns to see, the way he connects with people changes forever.